Hey guys, Happy New Year. I just want to share something that's really been burdening me lately, and it's just the idea of getting away and spending alone time with the Father. As 2021 has started, there's been a lot of noise, a lot of distractions, a lot of negativity, if we're being quite frank, and a lot of hopelessness. But I want to share an encouraging, hopefully, word of encouragement to you out of Matthew 14. And this is the passage where Jesus takes a couple loaves of bread and some fish and feeds over 5,000 men plus women and children. But that's not what I want to focus on. I want to focus on what was leading up to that and even what transpired after that. So a little bit of the background. This is after John the Baptist gets beheaded, and Jesus gets word of this, and he immediately flees and goes away off into his own boat, and it says that he goes into a remote location. So I don't know about you, but if I were to hear news that someone that was like-minded as I am, that just got beheaded for their faith, I probably wouldn't want to be alone. I probably would want to be around other people that could protect me, if I'm being honest. But Jesus hears that, and immediately he goes off on a boat in the middle of the lake, and he has that alone time. He realizes that his ultimate power source comes from the Father above. And then as he has that time away from the crowds, he shows up on this shore, and guess what? The crowds followed him. So they were waiting as he's rolling up. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I need a little bit of quiet time and solitude and prayer before I'm able to be near other people on the next event. So we must not dismiss Jesus' humanity here. He is God with skin on. He is the one that bore our sins in flesh so that we may know the Father. And so here he comes after spending this alone time with the Father on a boat going across the lake. And he comes upon the shore, and there's people, the crowds followed him. And so he is able to teach them. And a couple hours later, it's passing the evening meal. And his disciples come up to Jesus and they say, hey, look, it's getting late. These people have already missed their dinner time. They're getting hungry. You might want to send them away so that they can get dinner. And Jesus says, no, let's feed them. And they basically say, hey, we've just got a couple loaves of bread and some fish. This is barely going to feed us, much less the thousands that are hearing you right now. And so what Jesus does is he performs this miracle. He takes the fish and the loaves and feeds it abundantly to the crowds. But before that, on his alone time in the boat, he prayed alone with the Father. Here we go, before the miracle, he looks up to the Father and prays blessings over that, and then the miracle happens. They have so much left over that not only are all the people full and satisfied, but there's enough to have left over. So he not only does that miracle, but beforehand he prays to the Father so that the glory would be given its just source. That the people wouldn't just merely wipe that off as coincidence, but that he did that beforehand. So we see prayer alone, prayer before people, and then guess what? These disciples are like, hey, Jesus, that was awesome. You have all the momentum. Why don't you go and preach the gospel right now while you have the momentum? And they're on the edge of their seats. And what does Jesus do? He sends the disciples away, and then Jesus sends the crowds away, and he goes off and prays on top of a mountain by himself. Now, the human in me, I'm thinking, you've got thousands of people that are literally in desperate need of hearing your life-changing message. Why would you send them away? You just did this awesome miracle. You have all the leverage in the world. Jesus sends the disciples away, he sends the crowds away, and he goes on top of a mountain to spend time with the Father in prayer. But what Jesus did is he said no to a great thing in order to achieve the best thing, and that was to go back to the power source of prayer with his Father. And so what I want to pose the question to you is, what is your metaphorical boat? What is your metaphorical mountain that you go to in order to have that one-on-one solitude, that quiet time alone with no distractions, no news, no social media, no nothing except for you and Yahweh the Father in prayer. And this is something that I'm asking you because I've had to deal with it myself. And I just want to challenge you, if Jesus, the one who was perfect, needed that much time in prayer and realized that his dependence was on the Father, if anyone didn't need that, it was him, but yet that was what he modeled, then friend, you and I need it oh so much more. So this week I'm challenging you, please, with all the noise in the world, with all that's going on in our nation, get away and spend alone time. Fellowship is good. Community, vital. I'm not saying blow those things off. However, your foundation has to be one-on-one with you and God. And thankfully, Jesus sets the standard to where he steps forward, reaches his hand out to you, saves you from the drowning waters. But then he also says, hey, look to the Father and go talk to him. He's going to be the power source for you in your life. So what are you doing to get away? What are you doing to stir your affections for Jesus? Get away. My personal getaway, I'll be honest, I'm so busy. My getaway is turning the radio off as I'm driving to work and making that the top of my mountain, making that my boat, saying, God, I'm going to be quiet and listen to what you have to say. And then from time to time, as something comes to mind or near to me, I pray about it. And you'd be amazed. Now, for those that are ADHD, I love you. I'm the same way. You might get distracted, and that's okay. And make sure, obviously, that you're driving safe. But what is your quiet getaway that you can be restored? Jesus climbed to the top of this mountain. It was likely at night. He had on very worn down sandals. He was hungry. But yet he did all of those obstacles to get alone with the Father. And if Jesus needed it, we need it much more. And we must be dependent on the Father to the highest extent. That is where we're going to experience peace abundantly, joy abundantly, and life abundantly. So friends, make sure that you're depending on God this week and use this time to right any wrongs that you have, and just know that there's grace for you. Have a great week, and I'm here for you.